Wherever you want to go.
Hello, it's Edward Earl, CEO of Growth Team, here with Rasmussen Ironworks and Solaire Grills, and we're at the HPBA show, and I'm here with Jack Wofford. Thanks, Jack, for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Amazing show.
Oh, it's incredible. It's a lot of unique things this year. It's a pretty good turnout. I'm pretty impressed.
Yeah, it's nice to see industries kind of moving along and progressing, and
it's nice to see a turn in the downside of a very trying economy right now. But there's a lot of positive things going on here right now. I'm pretty impressed this year.
Yeah, it's nice. Now you're coming as a retailer. Give us an idea of the name of the company, where you're from, what you do, and how.
I've been 26 years in the industry. I have a company called Wizards Hearth and Home in Flagstaff and Sholo, Arizona, respectively. Okay. And we are obviously a Rasmussen supplier as well too, but very big quadrifier, heatilator, heat and glow distributor, full sales and service, air duct cleaning to dryer vents. We're the largest chimney sweep in the state.
No kidding.
Yeah, it's been a long haul, but it's a pretty good business.
Yeah, that's interesting. Now, your market, I mean, Phoenix is when it's all said and done, I mean, Flagstaff and Arizona and Tucson, Phoenix, I know you're not in all those areas, but Arizona's a pretty small area when it's all said and done.
It's a small area population-wise, and there's a lot of very unique communities, and we are something different than a lot of other geographical areas in the country. We got a lot of driving. There's a lot of traveling between communities that way, and I end up covering pretty much the top half of the state.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, how does that affect the business as a retailer? You've got to have people coming from a lot of different places.
We service everything from, we go as far south as Sedona, Cottonwood, the Verde Valley. We go almost to Kingman. My second store in Sholo, we cover all the White Mountains. Okay. Everything from Heber, Sholo, Lakeside, Pine Top, Overguard, Springerville.
I was going to say,
so it's all the way to the New Mexico state line.
Yeah, you guys have really got to cover some distance there. How does it impact you competitively? I mean, we know the industry is competitive. We can see it here in the show.
Sure it is.
But how does that impact you guys competitively?
Well, in order to stay ahead of our competitors, we've just got to go. We had to reinvent ourselves. You know, in the heyday of 2007, everything was no problem. You gave out a number, you sold it. When everything come apart that way, we've had to literally get lean, get green. We've had to reinvent our sales pitch and everything else. We try to go the extra mile that my competitors don't. Yeah. You know, to set us apart from everybody else down the street.
What does that? What does that look like? You know, you look at the things that distinguish, because that's one of the major efforts that any CEO is trying to do with their organization, separate themselves from the competition.
Well, a key thing as well too is that there's a lot of entry-level products. There's a lot of high-end products. And we are probably in the upper hand of the quality and the price point. But the big thing for me that sells is the dedication of sales and service. Right. When we sell ourselves, when that customer buys our product, whether it's a $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 appliance, that we commit ourselves that if they need warranty or anything else, they don't have to go look for something. They come right back. If they have a problem, they let me know about it.
Right.
And it's a family business, and we pride ourselves on taking care of the customer after the sale.
And that seems to be the common thread. You know, there's that big distinction between the big box organizations that are selling that more Asian reproduction contingent, and then you've got the real specialty shops
that we call the real deal.
The real deal, and and it's hard sometimes to explain that to people because the consumers don't really know. But it does make a huge difference. It's not just the product that you see. There's so many more dynamics to the decision.
Well, that's the big thing that way. There's so many with the invention of the internet. Obviously, is that you can buy things over the line, big box stores, but all these different e-businesses per se to get to that. When you buy the product, you're on your own. Yeah, you don't have a supplier or a vendor to stand behind it in the event that you have a warranty situation. And being a specialty retailer, that's what we strive ourselves on, is being there for the customer. Yeah, and taking care of it after the sale.
Not to mention installation. I mean, a lot of the CEOs that I talk to of retail shops that are with Rasmussen, one of the common threads is the character and the integrity that stands behind each of their organizations, like yours, is not only selling, but knowing what they're selling, having high levels of expertise with those lines, to where the customer, once they buy and they purchase, they really are taken care of.
Some people call it old school, but I have been dedicated my whole career that way. If I'm going to do something, I do it all the way. We're fully licensed, bonded, insured, nationally certified, manufactured certified. I'm the only master hearth in northern Arizona. Right. I'm NFI certified, wood, gas, pellet, everything.
Yeah.
But if you're going to do it right.
And it's interesting you said that some people call it old school. And I thought about that while you were talking about that. And I thought, it's interesting that there are some things in school that don't ever go away.
No.
Reading, writing, arithmetic. Those
Correct.
are the core stabilizations of an education of anybody from any part of the world. And I think these things that you're talking about, that's the standard that has to be taught no matter what your education is. You have to know those things and build your education on those things first, and business is built on those types of values first.
I like your attitude.
And I think that's really what happens, and it's the common thread.
We do the same ethics this way, all the way down to it's a family business. My servicemen, my wife, my daughter, our sales staff in the office that way. I tell every one of our customers they're willing to kick the tires, per se, on stoves. As many times they want to come in, they're welcome to. Right. I really pride myself on the no pressure, no hype thing, and making sure that they're educated on what their expectations are going to be.
That's interesting you say that too, because I think that is what consumers maybe misunderstand. I think they think that the high pressure comes from the specialty retailers, but I don't think that's accurate.
I don't like coming off that way. I believe that I'm probably one of the largest retailers in the Southwest per capita population that way, is because we deliberately try not to. Every customer you can ask them, if I'm dealing with them that way, I will end up telling them that way. It's more important to me that you're knowledgeable on your options and you're buying the thing for the right reason than to sell you something incorrectly.
Right, and that's
when you go home and you buy and you've got a big surprise at the end of the day, spending all this money, who are you mad at?
Yeah,
no. It's not my first rodeo, but that's most important, that they're getting the best bang for their dollar.
Yeah, the last thing you want is incurring a lot of liability from your customers in a relationship.
I do an individual inspection to make sure that what they're looking for, they're coming to a professional to help them on their purchase. And I make sure that they're not oversold, making sure they're getting the proper product that's going to be the best applicable for their home.
So when someone comes in, you guys are really taking a look at their legitimate needs analysis.
I try to go look at every single one to make sure that we're talking apples and apples. Yeah. There's no over expense, and they're not buying the wrong product for the wrong reason.
It's funny, having been in this game and owning several homes, and smaller homes and bigger homes, and having the experience in the beginning of going into a Home Depot or Lowe's type of format and trying to just change out a box or something like that. And talking to the guy, he might have been 24 years of age, didn't know anything about it. It was really more importantly to get to the bar than it was to talk to me. I didn't really know what questions to ask. Bought it, had a buddy that owned an HVAC company, put it in, and was miserable. Was miserable with it. And finally ended up going to a store like yours, spending a little bit more money, but boy, just the amount of questions and taking a look at the house and understanding what we wanted I couldn't get that anywhere else. The guys didn't have the expertise that guys like you had.
Thank you.
They didn't know what questions to even ask.
Well, and I try to do that. I'm now also president of Arizona Hearth Products and Barbecue Association for the state chapter, and I'm also the national trainer, Arizona trainer for the pellet and the wood. And if my competition wants to get certified, I'm the one that teaches them.
You're the guy teaching everybody else. You guys need to remember that when you're out there.
But I do try to take it seriously.
Yeah. It's interesting because you look at all the competition that's out here at the show. I mean, you guys are a successful retailer. You've got to have a lot of manufacturers and distributors trying to come and sell your product. Why end up here at Rasmussen?
Well, I believe in the product. It's a quality piece. Warranty doesn't make you any money.
Right.
The quality, durability, when I set anything for Rasmussen that way, I know that the product is going to be there. I'm not going to have to worry about a warranty. It's going to be coming apart. It's going to last for a long, long time. It's durability, it's user-friendly. And it's all about, the integrity of the appliance. And I believe in Rasmussen gas logs.
Yeah, it really does make a difference, and that is one of the common themes here for all of their distributors, all their dealers, and all the retailers, is that it really is kind of that George Foreman, set it, forget it kind of mentality and wrong program. I mean, that's what you do.
I've done this for so long. I'm not impressed with a lot of things, but when you find a good product, you stay with it.
Yeah, and especially something that goes in your home, with people not changing homes the way that they used to. We're staying put. When we put something in, we want to make sure it's going to be there, quality for a long time.
Well, the building permits and everything are down. The permits that are generated, especially for 011, is a lot of smaller permits and everything else. The people are staying put, and they're doing remodels on their existing houses. And for us, being almost a completely retail store, that's been driving us.
Right.
They're wanting to get the new high efficiency pellet stove, or the wood or the gas or anything else, or the log set for that matter. And they're not going out and buying a new house, and that's what's been driving us for the last 18 months.
You know, it's interesting also, I've got family in Arizona, and one of the things I've loved about Arizona is they have really become so family oriented in their approach. You can drive down any street you want, and there's family parks and there's skate parks, and you can see people out. Of course, not dead in the summertime, but you know, it's a family-oriented place. But in Flagstaff, you do. You've got better weather there, and one of the things that I've seen and I've noticed in talking to folks like yourselves is that people are recognizing, obviously, the disintegration of the family for the longest time, but they're recognizing that these hearths, these fireplaces, are giving them the ability to reconnect their family.
It's bringing family back to the hearth.
And it's something that we don't hear about in the promotional material. We hear about the technical aspects, the beauty, the quality, but the impact that it has on a home, it's almost incalculable.
It's wonderful.
Talk about that for a little bit.
It brings the family's roots back to the core, just like bringing it back to the dinner table. It brings everybody back to the living room. It's a wonderful thing. It hasn't been that way for a long time, but I'm very impressed with it.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. I've got 6 children, and the gal I'm married's got 4, so we're blending a family with 10, which is pretty insane. But with technology and everybody's school things going on and their talents and development, it's real easy in our home for people to just disappear. Go off into every corner.
It's the same way. I have 4 children, and my wife has 3. So it was raised that way. But this business has brought us together very well.
It's interesting because it really is true. We get in there, we've got a big fireplace, a Rasmussen product there. We flick that switch, and the flames go on.
There. Oh, it's all about the ambiance.
It's 10 minutes. It's 10 minutes, Jack, and all of a sudden everybody's there.
Everybody comes to the fire.
Yep, they may be doing their own thing, but eventually within 10-15 minutes, people start wrestling around. They start having conversations, and the dialogue starts going back and forth, and we'll be sitting there for 2 hours reconnecting, and it's phenomenal.
What's fun is having all the grandkids there.
Oh, I can only imagine. And I think that's a part of the business that people don't really recognize, and I think the consumers kind of understand it, but I don't know that they really realize the impact that a product like, if you want to reconnect a family, this is the #1 way to do it.
It's undescribable until you experience it.
Yeah, I mean, there's no conversations. It's no come on, get up here. It's just flick.
You're done,
and you're finished.
You're good to go. Yeah.
It's like instant family connectivity on a switch. It's funny to say it, but it really is what we've lost in this country.
It's been a long time, but it's nice to see it coming back.
And it's coming back, and you're starting to see that resurgence.
Absolutely.
In the retail stores. How do you go about driving more of that and getting that feeling back and that memory back and that kind of promoting that into the industry, do you think?
I don't know. I think my hands are full with everybody coming in the door that way, but for me, even what I'm experiencing, I'm seeing it coming on its own.
Yeah.
But the product is what the products, the fire, everything around the hearth is bringing it back in my little world.
Yeah.
When somebody buys a new one, they come back, Jack, thank you. It's been wonderful for the family.
Yeah.
It's a pretty nice thing to see.
Yeah, it's nice, and it's got to be heartwarming and rewarding as a business owner to make that kind of an impact.
And humbling.
Yeah.
And humbling.
You don't realize the impact that you're having on people's lives.
If I can help just one person that way, it's made my life worth it. It's a lot of fun. That may sound corny, but I believe it.
No, but it's absolutely true.
Yes.
That's the industry that you're in.
Yes.
Advice. If someone calls you, say from New York, is a friend of yours, and says, Jack, I'm out here looking at these kinds of products. I really don't know what I need to be looking at or who I need to be talking to. What kind of advice are you going to give them?
I get that all the time. I'll get people that's out of my geographical area. Every different, whether it's stoves or log sets or anything else, is that I try to stay in my service area. And even when I'll have Mr. Smith call, that's one of my customers' father that lives in another state. And I've spent a lot of time talking with them and educating them on the phone, and then giving them directions to go to find a dealer in their area.
Right.
And it's all about that. It's all about that education and making sure that they're taken care of. And that's my highest priority.
Right.
Is making sure they're knowledgeable on their options, regardless if they're in my area or not.
What one question should somebody ask when they walk into a retail shop to see if they're really in the right place?
I tell my customers is that references mean everything. Go ask your neighbor down the street. Go ask your cousin, and ask 10 friends who they recommend.
Sure.
Is it me or the next shop down the street? And in my area, I can guarantee you that the customer's referral means everything.
Yeah.
And I'm very proud to have that. It's taken a long time to get that kind of reputation.
Like
and
you said, back to old school.
But yeah, ask your neighbors who they use. Yeah. I really believe that a big third to half my business is becoming from direct referrals from another customer.
Well, it's like I tell guys, and folks, you need to realize it's good business ethics. They don't go away. They should never go away, but for some reason they seem to have gotten replaced in our fast-paced technological world, looking at the bottom line. But
well,
it's good
it went away before the economy came apart.
Yeah.
And everything else. And I'm a believer that we're successful again right now because we've had to reinvent ourselves.
Right.
And get back to basics and get back to the core family values.
When you say reinvent yourself, what do you mean? What were some of the shifts that you guys made?
Prior to 7 business with the big heyday, everything was so much sales and everything else. It didn't take anything to sell. You give them a set of numbers and people were throwing cards.
Yeah.
But when the economy come down, the crash and everything else, and the housing collapse and everything at 8, all the money stopped. Everything dried up.
Sure.
And it's coming back, but not at the level that it did. And in order to stay on top of it that way, we absolutely go above and beyond. I feel that all my competitors do, is that I'll do whatever it takes, as much time as it takes,
right?
And to create that friendship and that trust. If a customer doesn't trust me, I don't want to do it. But I'll go out of my way to make that bond and make sure that they're spending the money where they feel confident in.
Do you think that the big boom that created that big drive upwards in sales, do you think that it made people lazy? They got spoiled to the ease of the success. Then all of a sudden when they had to work.
Everybody had a lot of money. I mean, credit was wonderful. It's nobody's fault, but you know, everything was so available, and the spending was there. Everybody had everything.
It's just like in the 80s.
And then when it caught up, correct, in the early 80s, the same scenario.
Yeah.
And everybody got a reality check, and everybody's grabbed a hold of their wallet, tightened their core back down, and they're starting to spend it, but they're spending it a lot more wisely, a lot more greener.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of good things that came from it, but we're still in a rebuilding mode right now.
Right. Top 3 keys to success in
honesty,
this business.
Integrity, accountability.
Explain accountability to me.
You know, if you make it a point to be there, and things happen, you get late, and I'm not perfect, but you've got to be accountable. When those customers expect you at 3 o'clock, be there at 3 o'clock. If you run into a problem, be accountable, be on that telephone and say, Mr. Smith, I'm running a few minutes late on the service call beforehand. People are very understanding as long as you don't leave in the dark.
Yeah.
But do what you say you're going to do. You know, you write a quote, you're going to do this, do it.
Yeah.
Be there when you're going to say that way, and be accountable for your actions.
Funny. It's what what you were talking about. It's back to old school, but it should have never been old school. It's just standard business ethics.
You get caught up in the moment.
Yeah.
In this case, you know, several years. But I'm a believer in starting over and getting real.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Jack, thanks for being on the show.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Guys, we'll see you next time. Take care.